I remember the first time the market dropped 15% in a week. I almost clicked sell all. Headlines were screaming recession, collapse, disaster, but I didn't sell. I actually bought more. Not because I was fearless, but because I learned a rule. If you can stay calm while others panic, the market will reward you. This is the story of how ignoring the noise changed my entire financial life. I remember the first time the market dropped 15% in a week. I almost clicked sell all. Headlines were screaming recession, collapse, disaster, but I did not sell. I actually bought more. Not because I was fearless, but because I learned a rule. If you can stay calm while others panic, the market will reward you. This is the story of how ignoring the noise changed my entire financial life. Welcome to Harper Mumbling. The person at the center of this story is named Titania, and her journey through multiple market crashes teaches us something that no amount of financial theory can convey. It teaches us that investing success is not about being right or smart or well-informed. It is about being disciplined when discipline feels impossible, staying calm when calmness seems foolish, and trusting a process when everything visible suggests that process is broken. Titania's first real test came in March 2020. She had been investing for just 18 months, putting $400 per month into a simple 3-fund portfolio of index funds. Her account had grown to about $8,000, a combination of her contributions and modest gains from a rising market. She was proud of this progress. It represented discipline, sacrifice, delayed gratification. Then the pandemic hit, and within 3 weeks, that $8,000 became $6,000, a 25% loss, 25% of her hard-earned savings gone, just like that. The rational part of her brain understood that these were paper losses, not real losses unless she sold. But rationality has very little power when you watch your money disappear in real time. She logged into her brokerage account multiple times per day, watching the number get smaller and smaller. Her newsfeed was apocalyptic, market analysts predicting another 50% drop, economists warning of a depression worse than the 1930s, headlines using words like catastrophe and meltdown and unprecedented. Every article seemed to scream the same message: get out now before it gets worse. Titania's finger hovered over the sell button more than once. She even navigated to the trade screen, selected all her holdings, and stared at the confirmation page. But something stopped her. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe it was exhaustion from the mental torture of constantly checking her account. Maybe it was remembering something she had read months earlier about Warren Buffett buying stocks during crashes. Whatever the reason, she did not sell. More than that, she did not stop her automatic monthly investment. Even as the market continued falling, even as her account balance dropped further, that $400 kept leaving her bank account every month, buying more shares at lower and lower prices. The hardest purchase happened in late March 2020, right at what turned out to be the market bottom. Her automatic investment executed, buying shares at prices roughly 30% below where she had bought them just 2 months earlier. It felt like pouring money into a black hole. It felt like accelerating toward a cliff. It felt completely insane. But here is what she did not do. She did not check the financial news that day. She had made a decision the week before to stop consuming market commentary entirely. No financial television, no market newsletters, no scrolling through investment forums. She reasoned that if the information was making her want to make bad decisions, then the information was worse than useless. It was actively harmful. This turned out to be one of the most important decisions of her investment life. By cutting off the source of panic, by removing the constant drumbeat of fear and catastrophe from her daily input, she created space for rational thinking. Without the headlines, the situation became simpler. She had a plan. The plan said invest every month regardless of market conditions. The market was down, which meant she was buying more shares for the same dollar amount. If the market eventually recovered, which history suggested it would, those shares bought at discount prices would be worth significantly more. The logic was straightforward. The only thing that made it complicated was the noise, and she had eliminated the noise. What happened next is now history, but living through it felt very different from reading about it later. The market bottomed in late March and then began one of the fastest recoveries ever recorded. By June, Titania's account was back to $8,000. By August, it was at $10,000. By the end of 2020, it was at $12,000. She had not only recovered her losses, but gained substantially beyond her previous high. More importantly, because she had continued investing during the crash, she now owned significantly more shares than she would have if the crash had never happened. Those shares bought at the bottom, the ones that felt like throwing money away, had become the foundation of her gains. But the real lesson was not about the recovery. The real lesson was about what Titania learned about herself and about market crashes. She learned that headlines are designed to provoke emotion, not to inform decisions. She learned that her emotional reactions to market movements were predictably wrong. When she felt most compelled to sell, that was probably the worst time to sell. When buying felt most foolish, that was probably the best time to buy. Her emotions were not giving her valuable information. They were giving her exactly the wrong information at exactly the wrong time. This insight was tested again in 2022 when the market entered a prolonged downturn. Unlike the sharp crash and quick recovery of 2020, the 2022 decline was slower, grinding, relentless. Month after month, the market drifted lower. Inflation headlines dominated the news, interest rate increases, recession predictions. The sentiment was different from 2020, less acute panic, more resignation and gloom. Many investors who had held through 2020 gave up during 2022, convinced that this time was different, that the recovery was not coming, that they should cut their losses. Titania faced the same psychological pressure, but she had something she did not have in 2020: experience. She had been through a crash. She knew what panic felt like. She knew what it felt like to watch your portfolio drop and feel certain it would keep dropping forever. And she knew what it felt like on the other side when the market recovered, and you realized that staying calm had been the right choice. So when 2022's slow decline began, she made the same choice she had made in 2020. Ignore the headlines, trust the process, keep investing. The difference was that this time she felt less fear and more boredom. Watching your portfolio decline is terrifying the first time. The second time, it is tedious. You know the story. The market goes down. Everyone predicts it will go down more. Eventually, it stops going down and starts going up. The people who sold near the bottom regret it. The people who held and bought more benefit. The pattern repeats. Once you have seen it once, you recognize it when it happens again. Titania doubled down on her information diet during 2022. She did not just avoid financial news, she actively curated her entire information environment to remove sources of panic and noise. She unfollowed social media accounts that posted about market movements. She skipped conversations with friends who wanted to discuss whether the market had bottomed. She stopped reading investment forums where people debated timing strategies. She created a bubble of calm in a world of chaos, and inside that bubble, her investment strategy continued unchanged. By the end of 2023, when the market had recovered and reached new highs, Titania calculated what her consistency had earned her. Over the previous 4 years, including 2 significant market downturns, she had invested roughly $20,000 through her monthly contributions. Her account balance was now $38,000, $18,000 in gains. But more valuable than the money was the psychological transformation. She was no longer an investor who white-knuckled her way through crashes. She was an investor who genuinely did not care about short-term market movements because she understood they were irrelevant to her long-term outcome. Here is what Titania realized that most investors never learn. The headlines are not written for your benefit. Financial media exists to capture attention, and attention is captured through emotion, primarily fear and greed. When the market is rising, headlines emphasize greed, telling you about missed opportunities and investors getting rich. When the market is falling, headlines emphasize fear, warning of disasters and catastrophes. Both serve the same purpose, keeping you engaged, keeping you clicking, keeping you watching. Neither serves the purpose of helping you make better investment decisions. The investors who succeed are not the ones with better information or more sophisticated analysis. They are the ones who can ignore information that provokes emotional reactions. Titania compared her investment journey to sitting in a car during a thunderstorm. The storm is loud and dramatic and feels dangerous. But if you stay in the car, stay calm and wait it out, you emerge completely fine. The people who panic, who jump out of the car and start running around in the storm, are the ones who get hurt. Market crashes are the same. They are loud and dramatic and feel dangerous. But if you stay invested, stay calm, and wait them out, you emerge not just fine, but typically better off than before. This philosophy was tested a third time in late 2023 when geopolitical tensions caused a sharp market sell-off. By this point, Titania's response was almost automatic. The market dropped 8% in a week. Her account balance declined by several $1,000s. Her response was to not check her account for the rest of the month and to make sure her automatic investment was still running. She did not even feel tempted to look at the news. The crashes had become routine, expected, almost boring. She knew they would happen. She knew they would pass. She she knew staying calm would work. What Titania discovered through these experiences is that successful investing is about building systems that protect you from yourself. Her system had two components. First, automatic investing that removed the need for her to make decisions about when to buy. The money left her account every month, regardless of whether she felt optimistic or pessimistic, regardless of whether markets were up or down. Second, an information diet that removed sources of emotional volatility. By not consuming financial news, by not engaging with market commentary, she removed the inputs that would have caused her to override her system and make emotional decisions. This philosophy was tested a third time in late 2023 when geopolitical tensions caused a sharp market sell-off. By this point, Titania's response was almost automatic. The market dropped 8% in a week. Her account balance declined by several $1,000s. Her response was to not check her account for the rest of the month and to make sure her automatic investment was still running. She did not even feel tempted to look at the news. The crashes had become routine, expected, almost boring. She knew they would happen. She knew they would pass. She knew staying calm would work. What Titania discovered through these experiences is that successful investing is about building systems that protect you from yourself. Her system had two components. First, automatic investing that removed the need for her to make decisions about when to buy. The money left her account every month, regardless of whether she felt optimistic or pessimistic, regardless of whether markets were up or down. Second, an information diet that removed sources of emotional volatility. By not consuming financial news, by not engaging with market commentary, she removed the inputs that would have caused her to override her system and make emotional decisions. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. Titania does not need to predict market movements. She does not need to identify the bottom of crashes or the top of rallies. She does not need any special knowledge or analytical capability. She simply needs to maintain her system regardless of external conditions. Buy every month, ignore the news, repeat. That is the entire strategy, and it works precisely because it is so simple that it can be followed even when following it feels wrong. Looking back over 4 years of investing through multiple crashes, Titania has no regrets about the opportunities she ignored. She did not sell at the top in early 2020 before the crash. She did not buy extra at the bottom of the 2020 crash. She did not time the 2022 downturn or the 2023 recovery. She did not make a single decision that required market timing or prediction, and yet her returns have been excellent, exceeding what the vast majority of active investors achieve simply because she avoided making mistakes. She did not panic sell. She did not sit in cash missing recoveries. She did not chase performance. She avoided all the common behavioral errors that destroy investment returns. This is the secret that financial media will never tell you because it does not generate clicks or views. The secret is that doing nothing, staying calm, maintaining discipline, and ignoring noise produces better results than trying to be clever or informed or active. The investors who succeed are not the ones doing the most. They are the ones doing the least while everyone else exhausts themselves with activity that feels productive but actually destroys value. If you take one lesson from Titania's story, let it be this. The next time the market crashes, and it will crash again, that is not the time to panic or check the news obsessively or reconsider your strategy. That is the time to turn off the television, close the financial websites, stop checking your portfolio, and trust the process. The market has survived 2 world wars, a Great Depression, multiple recessions, a global pandemic, and countless other catastrophes. It will survive whatever is happening right now. Your job is not to predict or time or outsmart. Your job is simply to stay invested and stay calm while others panic. This is Harper Mumbling, and if this story resonated with you, I would appreciate it if you would like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone who needs to hear that staying calm during market chaos is not just possible, but profitable. Leave a comment below sharing your experience with market crashes and how you handled the emotional challenge of staying invested. Turn on notifications so you do not miss future videos about the real psychological battles of long-term investing. Thank you for watching, and remember, the best investment decision you can make during a crash is the decision to do nothing at all.